100% it's on me. Tyler Reddick said those words after climbing out of a wrecked Toyota Camry at Iowa Speedway, having ended his own race and Erik Jones' race before either driver completed 5 laps. He also described the mistake as unacceptable. There was no contact from behind, no mechanical failure, and no other driver to point toward. Tyler Reddick lost the car, took out a fellow Toyota driver who needed a strong finish more than almost anyone in the field, and said so on the record within minutes. What that mistake cost both men is far larger than one race result. Scripted date was August 9th, 2026, and the race was the Iowa Corn 350 at Iowa Speedway. Tyler Reddick had every reason to feel confident when the green flag dropped. He had qualified 5th on Saturday with a lap of 133.911 miles per hour, one of his stronger starting positions of the summer. Erik Jones rolled off 10th in the number 43 Legacy Motor Club Toyota, and he arrived with real speed of his own after posting the fastest single lap in practice. 2 Toyota drivers, both starting inside the top 10, both looking for a result that mattered. 4 laps later, both of them were done. The 2 drivers were racing each other for 7th place when the incident occurred. That detail matters, because this was not a case of careless driving in heavy traffic or a desperate move for the lead. This was normal early race racing between 2 cars running close together. Entering turn 1 on lap 4, Tyler Reddick's Toyota Camry hit the bumps that make Iowa Speedway such a demanding short track. The car snapped loose underneath him. It slid up the racetrack, and there was simply nowhere for it to go except into the side of Erik Jones. Both cars hit the outside wall hard. For Tyler Reddick, the contact was essentially head-on, which is about the worst impact geometry a driver can take at that speed. The 2311 racing crew went to work immediately, but the damage was beyond repair. The team discovered a hole in the radiator that could not be fixed, and the number 45 was retired before Stage 1 had even finished. The final results were brutal in their simplicity. Tyler Reddick was credited with 36th place, dead last in the field, earning exactly 1 point for the afternoon. Erik Jones was credited with 35th. A race scheduled for 350 laps ended for both of them on lap 4. What happened next is the part that separates this incident from an ordinary wreck. Tyler Reddick was released from the infield care center and went straight to reporters without any attempt to soften what had occurred. He did not blame the bumps, the tires, the setup, or the proximity of the other car. He described losing the car in plain terms, saying, "I just lost the car, honestly. It just snapped on me." He explained that if he had been running alone on the track, he probably could have caught the slide and saved it. The problem was that he simply ran out of room, and Erik Jones was occupying that room. He went further than that. Tyler Reddick told reporters that this was not the kind of mistake he normally makes, calling it uncharacteristic of him. He said the part that bothered him most was not his own ruined afternoon. It was that he had eliminated a fellow Toyota driver on a day when Legacy Motor Club badly needed a strong finish. His summary of responsibility left no ambiguity at all. 100% it's on me. The response from Erik Jones provides an interesting counterweight, and it is worth paying attention to. Erik Jones had just watched one of his best opportunities of the season disappear on the opening laps, and he still refused to place blame on Tyler Reddick. He stated plainly that he knew the contact was unintentional, pointing out that Tyler Reddick had wrecked himself in the process as well. "I know he didn't mean to do it," Erik Jones said. His frustration was aimed at the timing rather than the driver. Erik Jones made the point that a driver expects to get caught up in something when the field is fighting hard with 10 laps remaining. Getting collected from inside the top 10 on lap 3 or 4 is a completely different kind of loss. There was no anger in his comments. Only the recognition that the day had been taken away before it started. So there is no villain in this story. There is no feud, no retaliation, and no accusation. There is only a mistake at the worst possible moment, and that is arguably what makes it so damaging. Now consider the points math, because this is where the real consequences live. Tyler Reddick entered Iowa Speedway sitting second in the NASCAR Cup Series standings, 84 points behind Denny Hamlin. That number by itself does not sound catastrophic. The problem is the direction it has been traveling. Earlier in the season, following his top 5 run at Watkins Glen, Tyler Reddick held a lead of 129 points over the field with 14 races remaining before the end of the regular season. That advantage was described at the time as borderline insurmountable. Under the retooled chase format introduced for 2026, each victory is worth 15 more points than it was under the previous system, and nobody in the series had won more races in the early portion of the year than the driver of the number 45. That cushion is now gone, and it did not disappear because of one bad afternoon. It disappeared across a sequence of them. Mechanical problems struck at Sonoma and again at Chicago. There was a crash at Michigan. Now there is Iowa Speedway. 4 separate events, each removing a portion of a lead that once looked untouchable. The trend statistics tell the story more clearly than any single result can. Iowa Speedway marked the 6th time in the last 9 NASCAR Cup Series races that Tyler Reddick has finished 25th or worse. His average finish across the last 7 events now sits at 25.8. This was also his second DNF of the 2026 season. Here is the important nuance, and it needs to be stated clearly. None of this threatens Tyler Reddick's place in the chase. He is comfortably inside the field and will make the postseason. What is bleeding away is the number 1 seed and the bonus points attached to it. It is also worth noting a format change that reframes the entire fight. NASCAR has eliminated the regular season championship trophy and the achievement that went with it. There is no longer a trophy to lift for leading the standings when the regular season closes. The reward is purely the number 1 seed and the largest bonus point cushion heading into the chase. For a driver chasing a first career championship, that cushion is the whole prize. Back in June 2026, forecast model simulations put actual numbers on this fight. Tyler Reddick was given a 74% chance of holding on to the number 1 seed. Denny Hamlin sat at 26%. Ryan Blaney registered a 0.5% chance, a rounding error produced by a deficit of 157 points at the time. Effectively, this was already a 2-man race. That same analysis carried a specific warning, and it has aged remarkably well. It identified that in simulations where Tyler Reddick finished 30th or worse in at least 2 of the remaining races at Pocono, Atlanta, Indianapolis, and Daytona, his odds of holding the number 1 seed dropped to 51%. Tyler Reddick is now producing exactly the kind of finishes the model flagged as dangerous. The deeper issue is the track-type mismatch between these 2 drivers. And the numbers are stark. On ovals, the 2 are close to even. Tyler Reddick carried a 114.3 driver rating this season against 116.2 for Denny Hamlin. That is essentially a wash with perhaps a fractional edge to the number 11. On road courses, Tyler Reddick is dominant. Across the past 3 seasons, he holds a 95.7 average rating on tracks that turn both right and left, compared to just 59. 5 for Denny Hamlin. That is not a small gap. It is one of the widest advantages any driver holds over another in the garage. On short tracks, the situation reverses completely. Denny Hamlin carries a 105.2 average rating over the past 3 seasons against 73.4 for Tyler Reddick. And here is the punchline. The remaining regular season schedule was always weighted towards short tracks relative to road courses. That structural imbalance favored Denny Hamlin from the beginning. The one thing offsetting it was Tyler Reddick's enormous points cushion. That cushion is now gone. Iowa Speedway is a short track. The mismatch is no longer hedged by anything. To understand this collapse properly, you also have to understand what Denny Hamlin is doing on the other side of it. Denny Hamlin is not simply inheriting a lead through attrition. At age 45, he is arguably producing the best season of his career. His average finish of 8.3 is 57% better than the NASCAR Cup Series average and the lowest he has ever recorded across a full season. His 227 adjusted points plus index is the highest of his career. His average driver rating of 103.7 trails only the 109.4 he posted in 2021. Historically, this level of production from a 45-year-old is close to unprecedented. His normalized average finish ranks second all-time among drivers aged 45 and older, behind only Bobby Allison in 1983 and Cale Yarborough in 1984. His adjusted points plus index ranks 4th behind those 2 seasons and Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 2000. Mark Martin is the other name that appears repeatedly on those lists, and he remains Denny Hamlin's closest rival for the title of best driver never to win a championship. Then there is the detail that makes this entire situation remarkable. Denny Hamlin is a co-owner of 2311 Racing, which means he co-owns the number 45 car that Tyler Reddick drives. The man taking the number 1 seat away signs the checks. Denny Hamlin himself did not see this coming. Asked earlier in the season whether he realistically believed he could run down Tyler Reddick, he answered without hesitation that he did not. He explained the requirement bluntly, saying, "We'd have to win 3 or 4 more races." He added that Tyler Reddick would need to suffer DNFs along the way and stated that his own goal was simply to hold second place. Both halves of that scenario have now started happening. Denny Hamlin, with 62 career victories and the distinction of being the winningest full-time driver in the series, is still chasing his first championship. The seed matters enormously to him. There is one more casualty in this crash that deserves attention, because it received far less coverage than it should have. Erik Jones entered the week 18th in points, 412 points behind Denny Hamlin. The top 16 drivers reached the postseason. He needed a run of near-perfect weeks, and he said that run needed to begin at Iowa Speedway. Instead, he finished 35th without completing 5 laps. Erik Jones assessed his own position honestly afterward. He described his path to the chase as a long shot from that point forward, acknowledging that his deficit would grow substantially after the afternoon. He said it would take an exceptional stretch of results across the remaining races to point his way back in, and that his legacy motor club team had needed several strong weeks in a row rather than a lap 4 exit. Realistically, one incident in Turn 1 ended his season's larger ambition. Tyler Reddick lost a seed. Erik Jones lost a season. Step back and look at the full arc of the year because the contrast is difficult to overstate. This is a driver who won the Daytona 500, then won the next 2 races as well. 3 consecutive victories to open the season and 5 wins in total. After 9 races, fans were compiling statistical comparisons between his start and Dale Earnhardt's 1987 campaign, noting 5 wins. 6 top 5 finishes, 7 top 10 finishes, 3 poles, an average start of 6.1, an average finish of 5th, and 0 DNFs. That comparison was a fan-driven observation rather than an official statistic, but it captures how dominant the first third of the year looked. The question now is whether any of that dominance still applies. Tyler Reddick retains a genuine advantage on road courses, and there is still racing left before the cutoff. Whether that advantage is large enough to overcome a deficit that keeps growing on short tracks is the open question. So tell me in the comments who enters the chase as the number 1 seed.